For the first time in school history, Purdue is the #1 team in all of college basketball. Clayton, Collier here with your Week 4 AP Top 25 poll and my personal ballot as well. The third straight week that we have a new #1 atop the AP Top 25, and there it is. Purdue here, and they could be here for a while. Their highest rated opponent remaining on their December schedule is NC State, and that's 136th in net. So unless they cause some self-inflicted wounds, it's very possible that the Boilermakers could be here for a minute. Right after that, I have Duke. I dropped them in #2 after their loss to Ohio State. They ended up a close third behind Baylor in the poll. Baylor also has a huge game this week, Sunday, versus Villanova. That game on ABC 24 as well. #6, Gonzaga, dropping all the way to 6th in my poll with the loss to Alabama. A little more forgiving overall with dropping to 5th in the AP poll in this one. Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas left them around where they were in my polls last week. Tennessee had Kennedy Chandler drop 29 points in the Vols win over Colorado. So I ended up having them at 10th in my poll, 13th overall in the AP Top 25 in this one. But hey, they are going to have a big game in the Jimmy V Classic tomorrow night against Texas Tech. I dropped the Crimson Tide to 20 last week after the loss to Iona, but hey, they rocketed up more than anybody else in my poll this week, all the way up to 12th, 9th overall in the AP Top 25 after their win over Gonzaga. Big time matchup on Saturday. They're going to host Houston in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. Kansas at 13 for mine. Iowa State stayed undefeated and passed another big test. A win 58 in Omaha. Clayton may not have been the powerhouse that they had been in recent years, but that is a tough place to play no matter what. Their next test, the rival Hawkeyes, all eyes on Ames, Iowa Thursday for the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk series. Now, Wisconsin picked up 2 more P5 wins against Georgia Tech and Marquette this week, adding to their resume haul. I had them all the way up at 15th. Not quite getting as much respect across the country, though, at 22nd overall for the Badgers. They have already beaten Houston, Texas A&M, and St. Mary's this year. Florida, meanwhile, they fell to 16th in my poll. After the loss to Oklahoma, I believe I only dropped them 4 spots from 12th in the previous week. It was in Norman, and they still own wins over Florida State and Ohio State after all. Hey, speaking of the Buckeyes, they make the return to my poll at 17 on this one after they toppled Duke throughout this week. They now own wins over Duke and Seton Hall with only losses to Xavier and Florida throughout so far. Now, Michigan State also beat Louisville and Toledo this week. Wins over UConn, Loyola Chicago, and Butler. Only have losses to Kansas and Baylor. So I had Michigan State at 18, my 19 overall in the poll, so not too far off there. Houston at 19. Seton Hall, huge game coming up against Texas Thursday in the Big 12 Big East battle as well. UConn also having one of those games against West Virginia. They've had 6 of their 8 wins of the quad 1 variety so far, so I still have them at 21st overall in the country. They're at 15th. I'd like to see them against some tougher competition, and we will see that with them against West Virginia this week. USC enters my poll after an 8-0 start to the season so far. They have wins over Utah and Washington State this week. That bumped them over the edge, put them in my poll at 22. Auburn at 23. Colorado State with the win over St. Mary's jumps them 1 spot over LSU, who I have at 25th in my poll. Colorado State receiving votes, one of the higher vote getters, so they're getting close. As for who dropped out for me, Memphis and BYU, the 2 teams falling out of my poll this week. The Cougars were a close call for me. I had them all the way up at 10th last week, but the loss to Utah Valley in overtime, coupled with all 3 of their best wins taking losses, that was Utah, San Diego State, and Oregon. Yeah, I decided to leave them off my poll this week, but still, again, very close outside that top 25. Can't say the same about the Memphis Tigers right now. Somehow still received 14 votes in the poll after a disastrous 0-2 week. Lost to Georgia, who now we have the net rankings in for the first time this season. They came out today 208 in net for Georgia. And if not for that game, the Tigers would still have the worst turnover numbers in college basketball. Penny also torched his veterans after both of those losses. They'll have a chance to regroup before Friday's game against Murray State, then a huge week against both Alabama and Tennessee the following week around. Hey, have a question or comment for me? Let me know in the comments section or on Twitter at Clayton J. Collier.